Debbie and Randy, thank you so much for being willing to be interviewed for Voices of Community Erath County Oral History Project. I'd like to start with you, Debbie. Could you tell us your name, and could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm Debbie Lowe. I'm a housewife, basically. Keep grandchildren, great-grandchildren. I have written 2 children's books and had those published. Basically, we just have worked together all of our married life. And didn't fight much, but, you know, we did have our arguments over stuff, but we always managed.
And Randy, tell us who you are and a little bit about yourselves.
I'm Randy Lowe, born and raised right here. And I went to school at Huckabee. Went to Tarleton a couple of years. Got in the dairy business at an early age. Me and Debby, we dated all through high school, even junior high, as far as that goes. And got married right out of high school. At that time, I was milking for other people, and whenever right before me and Debby went in the dairy business, I was milking for Lieutenant Colonel Herbert Kerr. There's a place, matter of fact, right across the mountains here, about 5 miles away, and I run his dairy for him from the time I was about 8th grade up till through high school, and then we got the opportunity to go in the dairy business, and stayed in the dairy business 30 years. It's hard life, you know. Back then it was. I assume things have changed. I understand that, but we work pretty well 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I was milking. Debbie had anywhere from 100 to 150 bottle calves she fed through, you know. Sickness don't get to count because you don't get to take off. I mean, it's we went in the dairy business at that time with my brother Elvis. He passed away, what,
2014.
Yeah, 11 years ago. And you know, when their son got up, 20-year-old, well, we bought a place on up the road up here, and we just sort of split things off so him and his son could be in the dairy business, and we stayed here. And I was during this time, we was also in the beef cow business. There was very little. There was no vacation. There was none of this back then.
We also had our daughter while we were in the dairy business.
Yeah.
So carrying a baby with you while you're feeding calves, cleaning the barn. She had a little bouncy horse that I set her in while I washed up in the dairy barn.
Mm-hmm.
She was like a year old maybe.
Yeah.
And you'd take her out to feed the baby calves, and they might suck on her fingers or her head if she was close enough. And so I dealt with that too. So
Yeah.
How did y'all meet?
went to school together all of our lives.
I
We're
guess
both
since,
from right here, so.
Yep.
since 3rd grade, I guess. About third. You went to school a short time at.
Yeah, I went to Lincolnville for a very short time. Came back to Huckabee, and we started dating when we were 14 years old. Been together ever since.
What do y'all remember about the early years of y'all dating, or even the early years of being married?
Well, dating, I could go out one night a week. My parents, were kind of strict. So our Saturday night was our date night. And, of course, playing basketball. He would bring me home after basketball games, but that wasn't really a date. That was just bringing me home.
Well,
And
it was,
Yeah.
I guess the main thing is you're talking about just going out one night a week.
Couldn't afford it.
Couldn't afford to go, out any more than that. I mean, uh, my mother and dad, they lived right across the road over here. My dad worked for the Precinct 4, Erath County. My mother, she was worked in sewing factories uh, most of her life.
Okay.
And I mean, they done, it was hard. Uh, we were poor. I'm not saying we done without anything to eat, but in the early days, uh, you didn't get to choose what you ate. She gets tickled at me to this day. I won't eat black-eyed peas, and she wanted to know why. And I said, I remember a year in the 50s that it was so dry. Peas are a good dry weather crop. You can make, and that's the only thing it was made. And I said, you eat black-eyed peas for breakfast, supper, lunch, and all. And after a while, you just sort of turn your nose up. I can even look at them now, and it wasn't nobody's fault. The whole county was in that situation. It was. But in the 50s is when my daddy quit farming, and I remember I was a little bitty, 5, 6 year old, I guess, and was walking across them fields across the road over there, and he's kicking the dirt. Boy, it was dry. It had been dry, and he walked up there to where all the gates come together, and he used to open the gates, turn the cattle in on all of his crops, and he said, "That's it, I'm through." And he come back and went to town, went to work he worked for State Mill Ice Company, delivering ice, delivering milk. He'd pick up milk in the 10-gallon cans. He worked for Wolf's Nursery. Um, and mother, she worked like a slave for, in sewing factories and all. And mother was a giver. She attended to people back then. I mean, it wasn't like you had hospice and all this. She would set up with people, and she was pretty well qualified to give shots and things like that, and all. And her mother and daddy.
My daddy was in a dairy. He had a dairy. My mom was stay-at-home mom. Of course, we all had our chores in the dairy that we had to do after school, and baby calves. So I was experienced with feeding baby calves when we got married and went in the dairy business. And my mom didn't drive, so I learned to drive at an early age, very early age. Probably shouldn't have been driving, but had to do something. And my dad sold out of the dairy business, and they built a house down the road from us, not too far down the road. So we got, had all of our family right up here close, and still do have our family up close. So.
Do you know why Erath County was such a dairy area? Was that ever talked about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. To tell you the truth, I never really understood that. I mean, you're a far distance from adequate feed. One of the things that I thought about was water, availability of water from anywhere from about 4 or 5 miles north of us this way, and back to there, it's adequate water. Once you pass that 4 or 5 mile mark, groundwater is, they can't hit it. And so I sort of thought the water, there was a lot of farming going on in that country at that time, which made feed available. Um, you know, right prior to the dairy business booming in this area was chickens. And there used to be chicken houses all from here all the way, Stephenville, Dublin, at Huckabee, Morgan Mill. And that is pretty well went kaput. And they, I know a lot of the chicken farmers went in the dairy business. How much all that had to do with anything, I don't know. But it always seems strange to me that the Erath County was not the ideal spot for dairying. But
Well, back then there was like, you milked 100, 200 cows. Now they milk 1,000, 2,000 cows. All the small dairies they're gone.
yeah,
There's not any left. And that's sad that there's none left.
yeah, I can't remember exactly 280 something dairies
Yeah.
here at one time when we was in the dairy business. And last I heard, I think there's 24 left in the county.
Can you talk about sort of a day in the life, you guys on the dairy farm, kind of
Oh,
what you
wow.
would do from morning until, I know you said it was 24 hours a day, but what did the day start with? What did the day
He would get
end
up
with?
like 3 o'clock in the morning and come to milk. I would get up, I would be up here by 7 o'clock with a baby to feed calves, do the cleaning up, go home, either cook breakfast or lunch. It's according on what time he got home. Usually he would take a short nap. He would be back up here about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, start the milking all over again. Sometimes he got home at 11 o'clock at night to actually eat his dinner. And he would go to bed for 3 or 4 hours and get up and start the day over again.
I mean, it was, and the milking, feeding, and all that's one thing, but I mean, we was also farming. We had to farm. Now, during the farming time, you forget about sleep. They don't even, I made a comment to a lot of people the first 4 or 5 years we was in the dairy business. We couldn't afford no help. And when we could finally afford a little bit of help, excuse me, they were usually so inexperienced. To get them started, get them rolling with everything, and I'd go to the pickup in front of the dairy barn and go to sleep on the steering wheel like that. I felt like I slept half my life on the steering wheel, but I mean, that, not griping about it, because growing up, we were poor. And the dairy business, that's the first time we actually made enough money that at times we didn't have to worry about money. Now, it wasn't like you're going to run somewhere and spend it. I mean, it was tough life for me and her both. And we always joked with each other that if we got a divorce, the fight would be over who had to end up with the dairy, but when you're working side by side, really 24 hours a day, there's not a whole lot of room for arguing and griping at each other. You just, yeah, boy, that'll work. You just move on. And it was, like I said, it was very, very interesting, but I'm never going to gripe about the dairy business because, my mother and daddy left us 100 acres right here where the dairy barn's set. They left my older sister 100 acres. They left my older brother 100 acres and a younger brother 100 acres. in my 100 acres here, I was able, through the dairy business, working, and we were able to add more land to it. And where as we got older, got and we got kids, grandkids, and all, that the secret to everything back in them days was at least leaving your kids 100 acres, and it all worked out. And it there was the dairy business after several years of getting settled in, some things paid for. And the only way, I do want to make a comment, the only way we could afford to go into dairy business, my daddy didn't have the money, uh, but there was a man in Stephenville named Sid Andrews. Without Sid Andrews, we could have never went in the dairy business. Daddy went to the bank and borrowed $15,000 for me and Elvis to build this dairy barn. And Sid Andrews furnished the cattle. What we done is we furnished the facility, the equipment, and the labor. He furnished all the cattle, and we split the profit. And after we stayed with Sid for a long time. I mean, there's no better man, in the country than Sid Andrews was. He liked helping people. Matter of fact, he had several dairies around. Not saying that he didn't make money, but that's the way we got in the dairy business. And after several years with Sid, one day he just come up and he said, "Hey boys, I'm getting too old for this. I want y'all to buy me out. Let's go to the bank." And me and Elvis went to the bank. He sat there and listened a minute. He said, "You don't need to be dealing with them. They don't have your best interest at heart. We're leaving." We got up and left. Come out here. He said, "I'm gonna finance everything for you." I mean, he said, "The bank don't have your best interest. They're trying to put you on a plan that'll break you." I went, "Okay." and he financed it, and that's how we ended up in the dairy business. And it wasn't an overnight deal. It was, a good 10 years of that.
What year was that? Do you remember?
We went in the dairy business in 71.
Yeah. And so, early 80s, I imagine. I remember I've made comments. I've never had so much money in all my life, and in 6 months, be wondering how in the world I'm gonna pay my bills. That's how the dairy business worked. I mean, I can remember a time we had a net worth with our little dairy of $1 million. 6 months following that, we was $500,000 in debt.
Why does that happen?
Price of milk, price of feed. At one time, a load of corn to grind into feed to feed the cows costs more than our milk check could be. And I'll go back a little further than that. When that was going on, Sid, we were still with Sid at that time, and I went down there and told him, "Sid, we can't even pay our bills." "Oh, it'll be all right. Just tell me what you need, and we're not going to come down here and beg for grocery money." He said, "Well, you go broke then." He said, "This is dairy business. He said, it has its cycles." He said, 6 months from now, you come back and see what you think." and we was losing between 10 and 15,000 a month back in late 70s and early 80s. And that went on, and I mean, you don't know how devastating that, I mean, for somebody that had finally able to buy a decent car so we could carry the kids to school or go, and I mean, we could just see it all going down the drain. And we stayed there. I don't guess see a drew a dime off the dairy. Ooh, 6, 8, 9 months. And of course, needless to say, we didn't either. We was going down there borrowing money from him. And he he'd always make excuses for it. And sure enough, about 8 months, we went to breaking even. Then we went to making a little money. 6 months following that, we were making more money than we'd ever made in our life because so many dairies went broke, supply and demand. It's just how simple it was. And it was a hard, there was hard times. And when I say hard times, it was when you're wondering how you're going to buy groceries, it's hard. And even when we were poor, living at home, farming, we always had something to eat. We may not like what it was, but it was something. But like I said, once again, I'll never gripe about the dairy business because everything me and Debbie's got, we really owe to the dairy business.
What was it like to raise? What's your daughter's name?
Jody.
And is she your only child?
Yes.
What was it like to raise Jody in the middle of an active dairy farm?
Sometimes it was hard, but once she started to school, it got a little harder because her schedule and my schedule here at the dairy was a little different. But I managed. I got her to school and, come and done my work at here. And as she got older, she began to think, I'm not sure I like the dairy business, how that goes. And I had to leave a lot of times to go to her basketball games or go to her activities at school, and Randy didn't get to go because of dairy. But I was basically the one that hauled her around everywhere, and her friends.
I started to say, and don't forget
and her
that,
friends.
and her friends. We,
Yeah.
I'll back up. We had one, our only daughter. We lost a daughter. Our first
Before her.
Before Jody was died at birth, and that, I don't know. It's something you never get over.
Mm-hmm.
But when Jody come along, she's sort of the salvation of her to me. It was easier to live with the Shauna passing away, and but as time went along with Jody, whew, I ain't saying she wasn't a handful, but it's always different in a lot of ways. She enjoyed the hog farm. At a time when the dairy business was in dairy business, we also was feeding out 1,000 to 1,500 head of hogs, and as a sideline to when the dairy business was bad.
And that is a stinky job.
And I mean, that's funny. Jody had just fall right in. I never got so aggravated with her and high school boys. And Jody was in high school. I mean, they'd whine about getting her hands muddy. Jody have her rubber boots on, and the big deal was castrating the young pigs at the time. And well, I mean, I bet she helped me castrate, well, thousands of pigs. And never griped. She wasn't never a big fan of the dairy, but she didn't mind getting her hands dirty.
She was the only girl in her class from 7th grade until she was a sophomore in high school. Well, we had two different, real good friends. Well, they had boys. Well, Jody grew up with those two boys. and they are still, really tight. She took care of them all through school and had to teach them the facts of life, basically, because they were asking her questions all the time, and she would tell them the truth. But they are still really good friends and real close, and I'm glad of that. They're
I guess it was, it was always, there's always something. As a dad, you're worried about your daughter coming home pregnant, on drugs, and all this, and my my daughter never did, but she was constantly having to go pick up boys to drive them from a party to keep them from getting in trouble because they were drunk. Or
she was the caregiver.
she was, and this went on, and many other times she'd tell them just, hey, I'll come pick you up. You sleep in the car, and then I'll get you home in the morning.
Well, we never knew. We get up in the mornings for him to go to milk cows. We never knew who was on our couch.
Yeah.
One of these two boys or one of her girlfriends or somebody was always in our house.
At
we
one
were never
time,
alone.
at one time, that's funny. We had one daughter,
Yeah,
and we raised 4 or 5.
yeah, we did.
They just, we've been there before. I say, well, I was a little help, but Debby raised them, I guess. We had parents to pull up, throw a suitcase on the front line and say, you deal with her, we can't.
Yeah, one of Jody's friends in high school.
And
She walked in and said, can I spend the night? I said, sure. She said, my dad wants to talk to you. And when I went out there, he was putting her clothes on our front yard. They couldn't get along with her. So we dealt with that. And then she had another friend move in later. And
well, Phyllis and Wendy stayed with us a bunch. Amy Grant stayed with us a bunch. They were.
We had kids in our house constantly.
I never.
But it was fun.
I never knew, and it was.
It was an adventure every day.
Every day you had to bundle in with the dairy business, the big cow business, the hog business, and everything else was, in. And
What were the holidays like? Same
Crazy.
day as everything else,
you milk cows.
You
Okay.
milked cows and you made time for the holidays, and it was always a big bunch of people, family and friends and
Yeah, we had one of the largest families around. You can't imagine. I don't know how she done it, but just the family show up and there'd be 50, 60 people.
Yeah.
And cooking. Now, things were a little different then. Everybody knew they had to help.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like they showed up with nothing to eat. It's to this day, for the last, 20, 30 years, we have a July the 4th event up here. And 20 years.
Yeah. Well, we've lived here for 24 years and we've had it every year.
Yeah.
Except the year of the pandemic, of course.
And
Right here is where you have it.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. What's that about?
Oh,
Oh my gosh. Well, we will have anywhere from 75 to 175 people. You never know who shows up. Friends of friends of friends. And our son-in-law does the pulled pork. We start buying it, early, and he cooks it. And Jody and I pull it. And we have a big pot of beans, and then we have people bringing potato salad or bringing a dish. They're real good about bringing a dish. And we have, Amanda and Justin. Justin does our fireworks every year. He looks forward to it every year, and everybody else does too. So it's a fun time. We have a swimming pool. We have a pool for the little kids. We have music. We have fun. It's just people get along. We've never had any problems.
No trouble. Well,
Yeah.
it goes back to the tell us to anybody about Las Vegas. They have learned, they know better.
Yeah.
And it's something I don't put up with.
And our grandsons, their friends come, and it's just a fun time.
And that's been 20 years.
24 years,
24
25 years. Yeah.
And why did that start?
I don't know. I don't remember
do.
why it started.
It was an appreciation deal because I won the
Oh yeah.
county commissioner.
Yeah, he won the
deal.
county commissioner deal, so that year we celebrated. We were still we weren't up here though. We were in the other house down there. The big white house y'all come by, that's where our daughter lives. We lived there, and that's where it actually started. Because we were celebrating that he had won the primaries, and we thought, well, we'll just have a big 4th of July thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we did, and then when we moved up here, we just carried along right up here.
And it just got bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it has gotten bigger.
I mean,
Like I
there's,
say, we never know how many people come.
there is, I mean, not even enough room to park cars.
Yeah.
There's, 5 acres out there, and they'll be parked
up
all
down
the
the
way
road.
to the road, and it's fun. It's weird that many people come to me, and it's not just the food. The food's great. I'm not saying it's not, but they like to come, and it's like they only get to visit with people once a year.
Yeah. And you see groups of people everywhere, talking, and then they'll scatter around, and they're in different groups, and I mean, it's a lot of fun, and we get to see a lot of neighbors and friends that we haven't seen in a while, and it's just
We
have a
got
really
rich
good time.
people, poor people.
Yeah,
Right, I
we just
mean-
all mingle together. Doesn't matter.
It's it is funny.
So that's the tradition, I would say,
Yeah,
right?
It
sir.
is.
And you also mentioned, Randy, Debbie, you've mentioned it too, is that when I hear you say you don't put up with it, I hear values, right? So there's values. And so I wanted to ask about family values. Like what are the Lowe family values, and where do they come from?
Well,
I guess it's been ingrained in us, from our parents.
I'll tell you, and it's funny. It not just family values. When I become commissioner, I'm gonna give you just an example of what I expect out of people, and the people that even I'm around. I walked in, never been in politics in my life. I didn't know what was going on. I'd already been informed. I run for commissioner to get people off my back. Everybody's run for commissioner, run for commissioner. We need some help on the roads. We need this. And anyway, Jerry Martin, Doug Eberhardt, Don Stone was commissioners in the other precincts that time. Then they come to me and said, hey, why don't you run? I knew them all, and we'd been friends most of our life, and give us a little help. I said, okay. So I run so people would leave me alone after I got beat. Well, there's 7 people running. I assumed I was going to get beat, and then I'd go back to milking my cows, and everything would be fine. No, that didn't work out either. I won. So when I won, I took over a job that basically nobody wanted because the precinct was broke. The roads were run down. Employees were disheartened. And the first time I went in to the employees, to start off with the road crew, I walked in there and I told them, I said, we do not have a foreman anymore. I'm the foreman, I'm the boss. And I said, they said, well, what kind of rules? And I said, we have the following rules, and I want y'all to listen to me real plain. You do not lie to me, you do not steal from me, and you don't be lazy. Well, what about the rules? I said, all other rules can be worked out. I said, there's 3 rules. That's it. Then I met with the employees like at the courthouse. I told them the same thing. And I was never so tired of people saying, well, that ain't going to work. That ain't going to work. And that's funny, about 6 months afterwards, everybody was saying, hey, you know, it's pretty neat because the bottom line is what you expect out of people. Uh, Everybody is different. Uh, and you can make adjustments with mistakes and a lot of this and keep functioning real well and all. But if you're going to lie and you're going to steal from me and you're just going to sit on your rear and do nothing, just go and get a job somewhere else. I don't want him. I don't want to talk with you. And out of 100 and at that time, I think there was 172 employees. You know, I didn't have to fire nobody. In 12 years, everybody knew and maybe a lot of it's because I was employee friendly. Uh, they employees that have a sickness. You figure out a way to keep getting them a paycheck, you know, while they're tending to their mother or daddy dying of cancer or their child dying of cancer or you know, you just figure out ways to make all that work. And I don't know, that just mine and hers both. You want to get us, man? Lie to us or steal from us.
Have no respect. Yeah.
Yeah, we do demand respect. And I have that all my life. Even when I was a kid, my mother and daddy taught me that. You respect me or I'm going to knock your head off. I mean, I grew up in a hard family. Of course, you know, everybody patted daddy on the back because he kept 3 boys out of the penitentiary because that's probably where we all needed to, where we're headed if didn't, you know, he was rough.
I think we did a good job teaching our daughter and grandsons, and I mean, we
Yeah.
got, you know, you don't lie, you don't steal, you don't cheat, you have respect for people. I think we did a good job doing that.
Mm-hmm. They ain't none of them disappointed us yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
You know, that was something else. You know, I told my daughter, you know, you go out, you get drunk or something like that, you don't even hesitate. You pick up the phone and call me or your mom. We'll
Yep.
come get you. I'm not going to say you might not. At the time, you're not going to be in a bit of trouble.
But you will later.
You,
The next
you
morning,
might,
watch
you
it.
might be. I said, if I catch you hanging around the wrong element, there's going to be a problem. And I said, you touch anything connected with drugs, you never hear the end of it. Not until we're dead and gone. That's something I don't allow.
Mm-hmm.
Never will allow it, and still don't, to this day. And, you know, me and Debby are probably the only 2 people in Erath County that don't even know what marijuana is.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm sorry. It just never has been our cup of tea. There's drugs. When we was growing up, yeah, there's drugs. I mean, people don't realize that, but you can go all the way back to the Western days where the old cowboys and outlaws hang out in the opium parlor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, drugs, I don't know why that become prevalent around kids. I think it's just parents failing to make them understand what would happen if they did.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I was always strict about that end. I told my daughter and I told my grandsons, I'll leave you in jail. I'll ask them to hold you another 6 months. Just try me.
Yeah.
They didn't. So I was fortunate there.
No, we're fine. You need
you
to
all
get out
okay?
of the sun?
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about food.
Okay.
Sounds like you did most of the cooking,
Yes.
Debbie.
Yes.
And so let's talk about what if family favorites. Were there things that you made that became family favorites? Be they savory things, sweet things?
I
Both.
can't count the amount of times that I had to do Nana brownies, homemade. All of the fundraisers at school, I had to do a batch of Nana brownies. One of our oldest grandson's friend, he demanded that he get Nana brownies all the time. And they like my chicken and rice, the homemade stuff like that. And I mean, I have got millions of recipes that
I started to say the number one
Yeah.
thing was the brownies. And
Yeah,
I mean,
the
they're
brownies.
good.
What's the story behind that recipe? Did you make it up or did you?
I don't really remember where I got that recipe. I wrote a recipe down for that one time, but I don't know if
She
I
don't
made it
follow-
up or
She don't follow recipes.
I don't measure anything. I just throw things in the pot, you know.
Mhm.
And so I think that's what I did. I just threw stuff in the pot, and it ended up being Nana brownies. So.
And you'd make it kind of constantly, or would or for that
Oh,
young
I make
man?
it. I
Oh,
make
no.
it pretty often.
Yeah.
Either all of our gatherings still, you know,
Mm-hmm.
holidays and all. I have to make my brownies.
And they're
So-
gone before the food's even started.
Yeah. Yeah, they disappear really fast.
But nah,
I think that was the favorite. Yeah.
Do you remember the first time you made them and when they became a hit, a favorite?
When our grandsons were really small, they wanted brownies one time. I didn't have a brownie mix, you know, let you buy at the grocery store. And I think that's about the first time I made them. And I just kind of threw some stuff together and it turned out really good. And I thought, oh, I need to write down what all, you know, I put in those brownies. I think that's probably where the brownie recipe come from.
Mm-hmm.
Now, chocolate pie,
That's
his
me.
favorite. I
That's
don't
my
have a
favorite.
recipe for it. I just throw stuff in the pan and cook it.
She makes a sugar-free chocolate pie that's
I
good.
do.
What's on the table for Thanksgiving?
We always have the chicken and dressing.
Chicken and dressing.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We usually have big ham.
We have turkey too, but
Yeah, we usually have a
it's not-
turkey.
It never has been hardly. I think either one of our favorites. You know, we have it because other people like it. but-
Yeah. We
And
cook
and
that.
too, if we get out one, I kill one, and then it's all trouble cleaning it and cooking it.
Yeah.
So
Well, we always have to have the pinto beans and cornbread.
Okay.
Mhm.
We have to have that, and some kind of potato. You know, usually mashed potato or creamy potatoes or something like that. So
Cranberry sauce?
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
Are you slicing the ocean spray can or is it a fresh?
that's not my department. I don't like cranberry sauce. So Jody, she's in charge of the cranberry sauce.
Did your families, when they came together, did you bring anything to the table that was different than what you had at the table when you were younger?
I can't think of anything.
her daddy understood that I'd take her home after school,
Oh,
and it's sort of funny to it's funny to me, but I always said her daddy. He's my father-in-law. But he's also my best friend. I mean, he understood the dairy business, you know, and a lot of this, and knew that, you know, drive up, she get out, run in. He would stop at there used to be a store at the edge of town down here.
Earl Pack.
Earl Pack's. There's a little grocery store right there where insurance place
Yeah.
is now. Just right there as you're going into town. And Clark would buy a package of bologna.
It was a stick
It was a stick of bologna.
that you had to slice.
And you run in, you cut off a piece of bologna, throw it between two pieces of bread, and you're going to milk. And I think I lived on on baloney when I was in high school because I never got to, slow down to eat very often. Now, Mother would, if we could get home, Mother would cook. I mean, Mother was a good cook. But, when you got 4 kids, all of them working, husband working, and not knowing what time you're going to get home, well, it was it was sort of a guessing game. You always had to sort of depend on yourself a lot back then.
So when we started dating, he had to sit on a pillow in the car to drive to see over the steering wheel. We were 14 years old. So I asked my mom one time, I said, why did y'all let us go out like that? He didn't have a driver's license. We were 14 years old. He couldn't see over the steering wheel. She said, well, we'd known him all his life. So, we knew y'all were okay.
I bought my first car when I guess I was 13. And the only way I could buy a car is this simply. Daddy said, well, you got the money, So I worked at home a lot, some, when I could, and I saved money. My first car was '59 Chevrolet. It cost $400.
That's the one you had to sit on the pillow on.
Yeah. And that's what I drove. After I got a car, then I could work for other people off, And I'll never forget when Herbert Kerr asked me to come run the dairy for him, and he told me what he'd pay me, and what was it,
$69 a week.
a week? That's what I was drawing. That was $11 more than Daddy was making at the county. My dad goes, "You gotta be kidding me!" And anyway, so I done that until we went to dairy business up here. But I mean, you get lucky once in a while. I mean, I believe in luck, and I also believe you make a lot of your own luck too.
Where'd y'all go on dates? We didn't get to ask that. What was
Well, it was a card note if we had any money or not. I got an allowance of $5 every week, and we would usually go to a hamburger joint I would buy. And occasionally we'd go to a movie if we had money. If not, there was a drag in town.
And this is in Stephenville. You're
Yes,
going into
that
town.
we drove up and down. We might stop somewhere and meet some friends or something, but that was about the consistent of our dating.
Yeah. What makes Erath County special to y'all?
I guess because we've been here all of our lives and it's just home.
Well,
I can't think of anywhere else I'd want to be.
in the early 1800s, my great-great-grandfather moved right out there in a dugout. He was the first in here. Claimed or traded or whatever he did for quite a bit of land in here. And we've just always been here.
Yeah.
I mean, it ain't nothing, I guess there's anything complicated about it. We found ways to exist. When my great granddad come here, he left Oklahoma. He was running from the law. And if you look back in a lot of the old archives and all, everybody that was in Texas at that time was running from the law. So if they've got kinfolks that they want to brag about, look back looking back, they were fixing to hang my great-grandfather because he killed a man over a fence line. And he was loaded up one night, him and his That's a whole different deal.
Yeah.
It's uh, when he got here, he was with a Cherokee Indian. That's who his wife was. And she died within a year or two after them moving here. And she wasn't allowed to be buried in any cemeteries because she is an Indian. And she's buried right out yonder on the side of the hill in Indian sloping hill, buried underground. If you bury them, the rule was if you bury them underground, they're to be buried on a certain slope hill, and that's where she is buried. And then Joe married
Minnie Elizabeth.
Minnie Elizabeth. He traded 6 horses for her.
This was in the late 1800s.
Yeah, by then. And then
That's how this land got started here.
yeah, and then my grandfather, I call him Papa Lowe, Papa and Mama Lowe. They seemed to be the more prosperous out of the bunch. Papa pretty well ended up with most everything here and added to. He was a professional baseball player before, and I don't know how to explain this. I just read about him. He would pitch for certain teams. Then he'd go pitch for another team, and he'd pitch for another one. Just whoever played. And I know back during the Depression, prior, or right around it and all, he'd liable to get up to $125 for a pitching deal. Back several years ago, I got to meet his hind catcher that traveled with him, and I thought that was about neat. But they called him Big and Lowe, and they were right. I remember Papa Lowe. He was about 6'4", 6'5", probably weighed 280. Didn't have a hair on his head, and all his hind catcher said, boy, he could throw a ball. And I thought it was funny. He caught him all them years, and he showed me his hand. He said, you see that hand that was all drawn up? He said, that's from catching your granddad. He said we'd play in some cities somewhere, and then wherever the train could get them to in time for another ball game, well, he'd go, they'd travel to there. And anyway, Papa Lowe, he ended up with pretty well all the property from this about a mile up the road all the way the other side of 108. And Papa Lowe was a good man. I mean, there were still wagons, wagon trains coming through at times, and he was the basically for the area was the law enforcement, mortician, banker. I mean, he just done a little bit of everything. There's a lot of stories of people coming through in a wagon, and and they have some disease or something, they all die, and Papa would build caskets and bury them and take care of all that. And one of the most interesting things I guess I remember about my grandpa was he was like I said, law enforcement. We had no law. Apparently there was no law here, but he took care of it, him and 2 or 3 of the people of the community. And in one of the papers it said that, and I don't remember any names, there was a man that beat his wife, and uh, him and two more people went to the man and told him, that is not a good thing. We want to stop. We want you to stop immediately because the church don't feel like, we can sit around and put up with it. Well, it went on and read. It said approximately 6 months later it happened again. Him and his two of his brothers went back and visited. And when they left, they beat him within an inch of his life. He said, don't ever let it happen again. I said, within 6 months or so later, it happened again. And all it said down at the bottom, he was never heard from again. So
Yep.
everybody had, I guess that's where rules,
Sure.
you're given the opportunity, come on, just abide by the rules, and because the good Lord says this, and you don't do that, and when you break them, we have to take care of the problem.
Right.
And so there's a lot of interesting stuff back in the old archives of things when you read there, read about them.
What are the biggest changes that y'all have seen from when you got married to now?
Technology. That's probably the biggest change we've seen.
People.
Yeah, people have changed a lot.
I mean, it's hard to find people with respect anymore. I mean, it's embarrassing to me that people don't say yes, sir, no, ma'am, yes, ma'am.
And thank you.
Yeah, but thank you. Oh, heaven forbid somebody say thank you once in a while.
Yeah.
And I don't. My dog's dragging the table around. To me, it's people. Technology. Yes, technology's there, but I don't deal with it. I don't text. I don't want to.
And I'm too old to keep up with it. It changes so fast.
I mean, I
can't.
I do have a cell phone,
Yeah.
but I look at it. I don't answer it if I don't want to talk. And if they ain't got something to get their name up on the phone, well, I just don't get to talk to them. And but I don't know. To me, people, technology. I think
Just the way the world is, I think. It's just, everything has changed so much. With us, it's just, I don't know.
my grandpa on my mother's mother and dad. My grandpa told me one time, and there's a little bit of truth in it. Some little something happened, I got hurt or something. I said, Grandpa, am I going to die? No, you're not going to die. He had, we can get you fixed up here. We're not going to die. No, well, I don't know. Dying at a real early age come into mind. And I talked to Grandpa about dying. And I remember he told me that it's a lot easier to die when you get older. And I think what he meant was things are changing so fast around me. There's not going to be near as much as that I miss as I thought I was going to miss. I mean, he had a, I mean, it was sort of a strange deal because even my mother, right before she passed away, she said, I'm ready to go. We're talking, and I'm ready to go. And she did. And maybe it has something to do with age. I mean, I'm 74 and I'm not ready.
Yeah.
I don't know how old you got to be. I mean, now when I become a burden, and I think a lot of them mean that when you become, as you get older, and you become a burden on kids, your grandkids, and all. Dying wouldn't be the worst thing that could happen. Is the way I feel. But I don't think anybody likes to face death. But if the older you are, the easier it is.
What advice would you give to young couples in Erath County or younger couples in Erath County?
Be friends.
Don't argue. That's what I told our grandson when he married. Just never go to bed mad at each other at night. Just,
Instead of watching a horror movie at night, watch something funny.
yeah, go to bed happy. Just,
I mean, it's I don't know.
Apparently we've done something right, because when our grandson got married, him and our granddaughter-in-law, the preacher, we know him real well, he asked them, how they were looking, for their marriage to be. And they were not in the same room together. They both told him they wanted a marriage like ours. So we've got to be doing something right for our grandson, and granddaughter to be would tell the preacher the same thing at different times. So
Yeah,
that made me feel so good. It's just.
I mean, they're something that makes me feel good. Besides the family saying things like what she's talking about, I've been out of the commissioner deal for a long time, and for the first 5 years after I got out, I thought, man, I might as well stay in, because they keep calling me and saying, why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? And I'd say, no, they can't do that. The Attorney General is going to step on their head if they do. Just leave it alone. And through all that time, me and her both still have good friends because of that. So we had to do something right there. It always, it made me feel good if somebody calls 5 years after I got out, say, hey, what do we need to do? Man, I've been out a long time. I ain't sure, but I'll look into it. We've even had a lot of friends. I have out of Austin. I made friends with a lot of people down there. We'd have to go to school once a year and listen to their BS, and I made a lot of friends with a lot of people. When I got out of the commissioner deal, this guy at the edge of Austin out there offered me a job, paying me double what I was drawing as commissioner. And I turned him down. I said, nope, going back to my cows. I said, my cows don't argue, and when they do argue, I sell them. And so, and I've had a lot of job offers even since then, from people that's still connected in Austin. And now I'm at the age they couldn't, ain't no way they could beg me into come get back into anything like that.
What do y'all want people to remember about Randy and Debbie Lowe?
Love. Best friends.
We
were good people.
That we tried to do everything right.
Yeah.
We know we did, but when we didn't do something right, we admitted to it. Shouldn't have done.
Correct it.
Yeah, shouldn't have done that. We corrected it. you know, you call it love. You can call it friendship. You can, I think they both sort of go hand in hand. Uh, I don't think any marriage will last if you're not your husband or wife ain't your best friend. And it's ain't nothing easy about marriage.
We'll be married 56 years next month, so
Been together over 60.
yeah. We have about 60 years we've been
And,
together.
but that's done. My mother and daddy was married
65, I think.
65 years. Her mother and daddy, her daddy died
Well, they were married
73.
50 years, so yeah.
Yeah.
My dad died young.
So, you know, and, you know, they need to understand.
It's not a life of roses. You have to work at it.
Yeah,
It's
but
not.
there ain't nothing you can't work out.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
exactly.
always been that way. I mean, me and her opposite on lots of things.
Yeah, we are. But we work it out.
I mean, it's it's the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Was there anything you'd like to share that I haven't asked?
I can't think of anything.
No, I can't either. We've enjoyed talking with you.
Yeah, we've enjoyed this.
Yeah,
Great. You got space for 2 more on the 4th of July?
Huh?
You got space for 2 more on the 4th of July?
Absolutely.
Well, you would.
Absolutely.
You might just drive up here and go, oh no, and just drive off. You know, that's you know, I'm always telling people when they come up here, if you know, keep out of trouble, keep religion and politics out of conversation,
Yeah.
and move on from there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll sit down and talk politics or religion with anybody.
One-on-one.
You know, they don't. They don't like a lot of times what I say. You know, I think people like us are put here to help people that's not quite as fortunate, and it's got away from that.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not here to hand out, to be a handout for everybody, but there more and more people's needing help every day, and without help, well, it's just going to get worse. And, but, no,
Well, the community takes care of each other.
huh?
I said the community takes care of each other.
Yeah, if they would, but nobody seems like they have time anymore.
Right.
You know, and I understand it. It's, you know, this way of life we got now. I mean, it's sort of like man, if you get out of high gear, you're going to starve to death.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pitiful. You know, nobody lives within their means anymore. Why don't, when you can't afford something, don't buy it. I don't see that it's so complicated. You know, that has been the hardest thing to teach to people younger than us. Everybody wants the new truck. Everybody wants a bigger house. Everybody wants this. And I'm sitting around going, how would you like to pay for it?
How are you going to pay for it?
Yeah. And you can go to our house from top to bottom, and there's nothing inside or outside that is luxurious or anything. It's everything just sort of down to earth. And
Mm-hmm.
when we built this house, we planned on living in it till we died. And I mean, you understand, there was just it's just a long, tall building when we come in here. And me and my brother just started working. And say,
Find
okay,
out.
where you want the bathroom? Right here. Well, I want a big bathroom, so it moved down a little further, and the bedroom is a little smaller, you know. But what we done is we just went inside and built a house inside a tall building. And my my younger brother done the majority of it. I left it admit. But I mean, we all of us worked at it. But he done he's a very picky carpenter.
Yeah.
And he's a truck driver. But uh, he done a heck of a job for us.
Well, it's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful piece of land,
Thank you.
Thank you
and you
very
guys are
much.
beautiful people. It's been great talking to y'all.
It's been nice talking to y'all
Nice
and
talking
meeting
to you.
y'all.
Yeah.